The next vector is establishing identity. And so as this graphic sort of shows, it's the same face with many different hairstyles and hair colors. And sometimes our reaction might be tempered by what the student actually looks like. And so they sometimes also experiment with what they look like as they are developing their personality to identify with their identity, but it also might be conformed to their body and appearance, their gender, sexual orientation, their cultural heritage, or other parts of their identity. So they might grow from an emo in high school into somebody which we'd consider another clique. But the one great thing about the college experience is sometimes they work to find their place not only in families or in the communities, but also within groups on campus or virtually online. So as they now know who they are, for some it will be removing the mask. And for some of them, they will change wholeheartedly their group of friends as they develop a new identity and connect with new friends along with that. So sometimes part of our jobs as student affairs professionals is help discussing with them the new identities that are appearing, but also paraphrase and relate with them what is happening to some of their old friends, how are their values changing, and really helping them through this vector as it can lead to some very traumatic issues or at least some feelings of loss and grief. The vector of developing purpose is more than just choosing a career or a vocation. And it might be where you take a hobby or an interest and develop that into a major or to a career. But it also might be where they decide their career and work is one thing, how they can have impact on the community is totally another. So where a lot of the parents and even the aunts and uncles in the community of what job are you going to get, what major are you going to be, we need to realize and help students realize that developing purpose is sort of all-encompassing, but really where they want to put their energy and interest forward from there. And so it might be from music into football into soccer. You might have found yourself developing an interest at this point in time in student affairs, as this is where you wanted to have an impact of others. So that's where developing purpose really can stand forward. And so developing integrity with the next step, and again, these aren't always just separate steps because we do have integrity and values as we go on. But when we go through this, a lot of times we'll start at humanizing values and really sort of what they are of stealing. When you steal something, another person is going to experience a loss. To personalize those values, what values do you want to have? And then some congruency. What values do you have, and are you living your life according to your values? So that might be even a discussion that you have with your friends now, or some inner thought on yours. Are you living your life according to your values? If it's sort of a step-up period or time for development, when will that occur? And for a number of us, sometimes we do give up things such as we might value time with our family. It might be shorter now because we have graduate studies to go through as well as some full-time jobs. And so that may sort of wane, not so much in the value, but the number of minutes and hours you're putting towards that value on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. So in the end, self-interest is balanced with a sense of social responsibility. As you sort of merge that, I appreciate your time that you're giving to this program and knowing that I have impact by helping you grow through this program and knowing that you will have a positive impact on others. So that's how sort of a person can develop their self-interest and balance that of where do they want to have interest. And then also looking at aspects of student development or your development. I put up this picture. This was a college student that had stopped out of college to join a World Health Organization, and he worked with food crops in Thailand and was a very important person along with that. Unfortunately, he was killed in a motorcycle accident in that country, and part of the memories and remembering back on him was look at the impact that it already had as he turned 24. In 24 years, this was a significant amount of impact. And sometimes we need to ask ourselves, what is our impact going to be? So to help you think about Chickering's values, help think about Chickering's vectors as you go through that, I've broken you up into small groups. So Look on the announcement as well as in the discussion questions, and it will list the last name of your small group. Go into discussion 2. I've already created discussion threads for each of the groups. Within your group, start to add one of the vectors and experience it. All group members should participate, so they need to have at least one vector. And then also keep in mind you can use the Blackboard system to email your classmates in those vectors by going into the email section on the left column of Blackboard. So again, I want you to go into the discussion board, complete discussion number 2 with your group. Each group needs to have a real-life example from a member's life to illustrate each vector of Chickering's 7 vectors. And I hope you enjoy the discussion that you have with each other as you complete this assignment. What I think is a big question, and I know part of you want to give your life to others because you're majoring in student affairs, is sort of what will your impact be? There's some great opportunities to enrich your life. There's some impacts that you can have on campus, such as this World Affairs Conference was helped organized by some students in this class 2 years ago. And I know each of you will, as we go through this coursework, not only as a part of your personal life, but also of this class, will start to develop interviews or events that you can have impact on others. And so I hope that you enjoy the process and want you to begin to look at Chickering's 7 vectors as you interact with students and maybe guess at what vector they might be working at or what vectors they might have been very successful at and what might some future help with them be. So keep in mind that there's a lot in the educational environment, and Chickering's 7 vectors can be looked at that, even on institutional objectives. We can look at institutional size and how that might impact student-faculty relationships and who might be their mentors and help them along that line. Curriculum also helps a student develop teaching styles, and as you teach others, as peers teach others, that certainly has an impact. Friendship and student communities will certainly have positive experiences, challenging experience that help that person develop. And then even within student affairs, sometimes we have student development programs and services which give students that encouragement and support when they need it, but also challenge them to grow as an individual or even grow as a group. And then along the way, we want to have some respect and recognition for individual differences. Everybody shouldn't be sort of this cookie cutter philosophy. And also that learning and development is sort of cyclical in nature. There are some steps backwards as we take steps forwards. It's never having some clear black and white as they move from one vector into another. But you really should be able to see people as they sort of mature through some of these vectors and begin to have some of those questions. So I thought this cartoon was great. Thanks for pointing out which of Chickering's vectors I was in every time I cried in your office. I think it sort of takes some of our knowledge and yet puts it into a very day-to-day type event. So I hope you enjoy this short video. There are some other videos that explain it, and enjoy the class assignment.